Alright, today's video is going to be a little different than usual in that this is my first attempt at sort of a conversation style interview. We meet a lot of really interesting people on this adventure, and these two have such a cool story that I wanted to share it with you all. Our new friends Vickie and Nils are from Switzerland, and they've spent 2 years traveling on a budget. They keep their costs down by cycling, camping, and volunteering. Vickie reached out to me on social media because they were going to be traveling through our area on their way from Shikoku up to Fukuoka and then over to Korea. So they stopped by on their way, and originally they were going to stay a few days. They ended up staying a few days longer, and we really hit it off, so we decided to make this little video together. Now, I've never done an interview before, and I know that one of the things that I need to work on in this channel is the volume and getting some microphones. So I did make a few mistakes, but I managed to edit it all together, and I think you'll enjoy it. Vickie was generous enough to share a bunch of her videos and photos from their travels, so we've got some really nice visuals to look at during the interview. If you'd like to follow along their travels as well, I'll put links to their blog, newsletter, and social media down in the description below. So let's get right into it. We're visiting with some new friends who arrived on Ōmishima yesterday. They are on a very long cycling trip. I'm sure they'll be able to share their story better than I could. They are visiting Ōmishima for a few days and have been volunteering on some farms. Had some really amazing experiences, and they're here to visit and help us out for a little bit. All right, so why don't you guys introduce yourselves real quick?
I'm Nils, and
I'm Vickie.
we are traveling in Asia for about 2 years, and we fall in love with Japan. So we spent maybe 9 months now in Japan in the last 2 years, and we traveling and volunteering so we can meet people and have good experience. I really love traveling with the bike. So if we feel like today we want to go really far, then we wake up at 5 and don't do most of the day cycling. But if you want just to rest for a bit, we can just camp on the same spot and stay all the day.
You just have to start slow and, you know, not go for the performance.
Don't look the video on YouTube
Yeah.
about traveling by bicycle, because they do like 200 kilometers every day.
And we stumbled upon the Workaway concept and woofing as well. We just really loved the way it works, because we work about 5 hours a day with a break, and we get food and housing.
You can see the different profile, but you never know how it will be
In real life,
in real
how
life.
it translates to reality.
Yeah.
It's
So
always a surprise every time. Sometimes it's a little bit different than what we are used to, and we just have to, you know, adapt to the mindset and the vibe of the place. And we only had great experiences here. In Malaysia, we helped a family just taking care of the daughters so that they can do like some cleaning tasks and some cooking.
sometimes we are alone with just one guy, with the owner or the family. And here on Shikoku we were in kind of a community.
Yeah, bigger setting.
Where it can be up to 30 volunteers. So this was
The most we had is 33 or 35 volunteers, because I was making lunch most of the days.
Oh, wow.
Lunch for 30 people is a job. They're doing natural farming there, and organic regenerative farming, and it's something that we're always interested in, because we would like to homestead at some point in life.
So tell us a little bit about how many countries you've been visiting and what brings you to Japan.
We started 2 years ago. We started in France, and then Belgium, a little bit of Netherlands, Luxembourg, Germany, and back to Switzerland because we come from Switzerland. So.
We did a little. We volunteered on the way too, and it was in a castle where we helped a renovation
Wow.
in a castle. Someone that purchased a castle and was renovating it and making it into a guest house. So we were helping with that.
We wanted to start our Asia trip in Japan.
Yeah, we were supposed actually to leave for Japan first.
So you were doing your European loop, waiting for Japan to open, while we were in Mexico, waiting for Japan to open.
So
there you go.
Same experience.
Same experience.
Yeah.
And it's also in this European circle that we found our way to travel, I think.
Yeah.
With the bicycle and volunteering, it's a nice balance because we get tired with the bicycle if you do every day. So when you do a bit of volunteering, then you can just stay at a place for weeks.
You don't have to be constantly on the road and on the go and packing, depacking every day.
Every day, yeah.
It's good, but it can get tiring after a few months. So it's always nice to have somewhere to put the luggage down for a bit.
Yeah.
And
get your hands dirty.
Get our hands dirty and meet amazing people.
We always wanted to travel, and we love discover and meet new people, have experience, and see the world, how it works in other countries.
Well, we worked really hard for a few years to save every penny we could to be able to travel. So we wanted it to last for as long as possible. So we decided on a pretty strict budget of about $30 a day for 2 people, and that includes food, accommodation, and traveling. So if you anything, if you take a flight, $1,000 flight, then it's also counted in these 30 days. So it means that for so many days, like about a month, we're not supposed to spend any money. So that's when the volunteering comes in really interestingly, because you get this exchange where you get to meet people, you get to experience the culture from within, and you get to stay somewhere for free, and you're fed.
And we like also traveling slowly, take our time, and not just visiting a place on the other side of the world, just 2 weeks and then come back at home.
Traveling in Japan with a car is a really good way to travel, because now the train has gotten so expensive. Some car rentals can rent a car for as little as 2,000 yen a day. Bicycling is also a very good way to travel in Japan, but also in other countries. It's a good pace because you get to see everything around you, the landscape evolving. It's a really nice way to travel, and you don't have your backpack on your back. Pretty nice to be able to just like wheel stuff around.
And people are really curious about us when we arrived with this big bicycle with all this stuff around. So it's a good way just to meet people,
right?
And
it sparks the
talking.
Conversation. Yeah.
Do you find that people come up and actually just talk to you when you're riding the bikes? Is that because there's no barrier, there's no windshield keeping you separated?
Maybe. It's just, I think people are impressed with the amount of luggage we have, because Nils's bike is almost invisible under all the packing.
I was impressed when I saw your bikes. It looked very much like
mine is a little bit lighter, but
a traveling home.
yeah, well, that's basically it, right? And sometimes we just have this realization that we're like, oh, we have everything we need with us.
Mm-hmm.
We can go places on our schedule.
Mm.
We can sleep anywhere basically. We just need 2 trees because we sleep in hammocks. We don't really have a tent. But we can make a tent with our tarp if we flip the bicycles over. If we don't find any trees, we have little tricks like that.
And when we arrived after in Japan, we didn't know really where we wanted to go. So we stayed a long time, 8 days in Tokyo first, and then also 8 days maybe in Kamakura, and just writing to people asking for volunteering on this website, Workaway. And the first one who said yes was our destination. This was the direction. At first we wanted to stay just 2 weeks. We didn't know really. And then finally time flies. And we stayed 4 months there.
We ended up staying for 4 months.
So you were planning on 2 weeks and you stayed 4 months?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
always like this.
Yeah, because you don't want to first get like in a commitment of like 3 months right away, because you don't know how the vibe is, you don't know if you're gonna get along or not. If we understand the project and we get like on the same vibe.
That makes sense. You need to
Yeah.
be able to pick up what they're doing
Yeah,
and also make yourselves passionate about it
exactly.
if you're doing it every day.
And sometimes there's just some differences about just core values.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't always easy at first, so you also have to
Adapt.
give it a chance, right? You have to be flexible a little bit because you're entering people's home usually, and it's not always what you expect, and it's not always how you do things, and that's also fine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's part of the traveling
it's part
experience.
of the experience, really.
You
So,
really see how people live.
yeah, have to go with an open mind.
So you stayed there for 4 months and then you left for some other travels and then returned?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. We let our bicycle there because we wanted to travel in Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand, and we knew that we wanted to go on islands, and we thought that with the bicycle it's gonna be maybe hard to every time and
Go from one island to the next.
yeah.
Spoiler alert, it's really easy in the Philippines. You just have to load it on a ferry together with you.
After 1 year of traveling in Southeast Asia, we came back in Japan and came back to the farm where we volunteered, and we find our bike again.
Yeah.
So we just stayed now 1 month again in the
On the
same
farm.
farm, yeah.
So you got to experience it in a different season?
Exactly.
Also, yeah. The first time was from January until May, I think,
So more winter, springtime.
and now August.
The heat of summer.
Ah.
That
Yeah.
was sort of brutal. And so the schedule adapts also
Yeah.
itself to the season. So we were starting at 5 a.m.
Usually, you know before coming what will be the exchange.
Yeah, I think it's important to talk about it with the hosts and make sure that everything's clear before you even get there, because it's all very confusing sometimes. If
Absolutely.
you just show up and people have different expectations about finding a good match between every party's expectation.
Yeah.
There's also another app called Warm Shower, which is the couch surfing for the cycling community.
Oh, I see.
They offer a warm shower to cyclists coming by, sometimes a bed, sometimes a place in the garden to have your tent. And these people were on warm shower, and they sort of rescued us from. They came and picked us up at the ferry terminal.
Wow.
Because Nils's bike like sort of broke down on the way there, and they drove like an hour to pick us up, and they took us for dinner because it was actually New Year's Eve.
Oh wow! Wow.
So yeah, we felt really bad, but they were so nice and so happy to have us, and they let us stay for like 4 days while we were waiting for the new wheel to arrive for Nils's bike. So we basically spent the winter holidays with them.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's so many resources like that out there that a lot of us just don't know about.
Right.
Yeah.
I learned that because before we started house sitting, I had never even, I sort of knew it existed, but I didn't realize there were whole networks and websites out there for that. And so you found, in your experience, cycling and volunteering, plenty of resources as well.
Exactly. I personally learned English pretty young, when I was 19. As soon as I finished school, I went on an exchange as an au pair in New York. But for Nils, it's a bit different.
When we started traveling, I think it's where I became more comfortable in English. Most of the time, I understand more locals, people that speak just a little bit of English, because we have the same little bit of English, and
I see.
we can understand.
Is that in Europe too?
In Europe, I can speak also a bit of German. So I think in Germany I speak German. If I go there, or in the Swiss German part, or in Austria. And then I think in touristic place
People speak English.
people speak English. If you go really in countryside, in not touristic country, sometimes it's
You speak
difficult.
with your hands. If you don't know any Japanese or any, I don't know, if you go to Indonesia and you don't speak Indonesian, there are books with like images that you can take with you, and they're international like pictograms.
There is apps where you can speak and it translate like instant.
Directly. That's also very useful.
We use it often.
As you meet people, you exchange information, tips and tricks, and it's kind of builds out your portfolio
Yeah.
of options.
Tools.
Yeah.
Tools, exactly, for traveling, and cheaper ways and better ways and just different ways that you wouldn't really think about maybe when on your own. That's our number one recommendation, is if it's possible at all to take your time and don't have an end date right away.
Yeah, don't have the flight ticket back.
Just give it a chance. Like if you're interested at all in like very cheap traveling as we do, just see what's your rhythm, and then if you need to plan, if it gives you anxiety to not have a return ticket, do that. But for us, honestly, to just never know what's next really has been the biggest gift, because we meet people, they invite us to their house, we spend 4 days there. That's fine. We're not on a schedule. So that's also what's beautiful about cycling, because you don't have so many booked hotels and things. So we do wild camping most of the time. So we are really free to do whatever and follow the adventure when it happens, I guess. If you want to just get out of your little routine and world, you don't have to go super far actually.
We started in just next to our country, around
we
Switzerland.
left from our home place, and even then in my own village I was cycling and people were like talking to me in a new way, like people that I not necessarily knew were like, hey, where are you from and stuff. I was like, I'm actually 2 streets down, but it opens a new world.
Yeah, the first people that we met was, oh, from where do you come from with all this luggage? Just 200 meters before.
So yes, the adventure is also in your backyard, I guess.
Thanks so much for coming to visit us. I love sort of comparing and contrasting the volunteer experience with our pet sitting experience. Happy that you reached out to us and you decided to stop by and visit us here on Ōmishima on your way from Tokyo through Shikoku and then up to Fukuoka. If people have questions, they can leave them below.
We'll hang out in the comments.
That would be great.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed our conversation with our new friends Vickie and Nils. So thanks for watching. This is Benton Homestead, and we'll see you next time. Well.